45 points a game. They're the talk of the town. Everybody's talking about, man, what a great move by Dennis Allen and Mikie Loomis to hire over Clint Kubiak. Change the offense. Derek Carr looks like a new quarterback. And all of a sudden, injury goes down. And Dennis Allen starts to just lose the locker room. And everybody starts to panic in the fan base. And then one loss turns into 2 losses, turns into 5 losses. Now it turns into 7 losses. Not just 7 losses in a row. The last loss came at the hands of the worst team in the NFL, who has been abysmal throughout the course of the entire season. And you lose a game after you rushed for over 150 yards, after you held them to under, I don't even know how many yards, and you scored over 20 points. I think there's no team in the history of the NFL that has lost a game in that fashion until now. Yes?
Over the last 20 years,
here we go.
Teams that outgained their opponents by 150 yards, ran for 150 yards, and won the turnover battle had a record of Kangaroo Court had a combined record of 275-0
until now. 275-1. And then you add another.
Sometimes you got to pop off and show them.
Look, at some point it's going to happen. At some point it's going to happen. You can check off another box. Derek Carr, another career accolade for him. He has lost to all 31 teams. He lost to 31 teams, and not all 31. He lost to 31 teams in the NFL.
There's 32 teams in the NFL.
I know he's lost to 31 of the 32 teams. I guess of every team that he's not on.
Probably never played against the Raiders, if I had to guess at this point.
Yeah, I guess you're right. So every team but the Raiders.
I'm sure he will.
Yeah, at some point he'll lose against the Raiders.
Yep.
And it'll be all 32 teams that he's lost against. So put that on the mantle, because he stinks and he hasn't been good, and he's leaving his receivers out to dry, and he's getting them concussed every other play. That's why we have 0 wide receivers available. And then 4th and 4. You just need a first down. You just need 3 points. We are going to throw a 50-50 ball.
Out of bounds.
Not even out of bounds. Up to a wide receiver who's a 5th-string wide receiver on your team. Not even your number 1 or number 2 or number 3 guy. And we're going to do that as the last play of the game, and then you lose. It doesn't matter. Dennis Allen gets fired. He is no longer the head football coach for the New Orleans Saints. He is replaced by interim head coach Darren Rizzi, which I think is going to be a good move moving forward for the rest of the season. I'm not saying Darren Rizzi is going to get the job and be the head coach for the New Orleans Saints moving forward, but seems like he brings a lot of energy. He's got a lot of respect in the locker room. He's widely respected around the league as one of the better special teams coordinators and coaches in the country. Great motivator, great leader. I think he's very well liked around in the locker room. So as far as that goes, I think that's a positive. The Saints are 2-7. Now they are in pole positioning for the NFL draft.
Well, Dennis Allen could have handled this situation one of 2 ways, and it looks like Rizzi handled it the right way.
And this is it, right? Look, obviously, Arthur Smith last year, Atlanta, did not like it. And Dennis Allen was really trying to console him. Hey, listen, Darren Rizzi says, whoa, hold on. Hey, get the fuck out of here, dude. What the fuck? And the guy said, what'd you say to me? Darren said, yeah, I'm fucking talking. Yeah, all right, get out. Move.
I can't hear you with these tiny ears, but I got something to say.
Yeah, Darren Rizzi was in there, right, in the mix. And, I think it's going to be good. If you listen to everybody around the locker room, around the team, they all like Darren Rizzi. So, I think it's a good move for the Saints. It's the beginning of a new regime. It's the beginning of a new era. Darren Rizzi did say in his press conference there's going to be a lot of changes going on around this locker room because things have been going on the same way here for a long, long, long time. That's time for a little bit of a change-up. And that's a good move.
There was somebody in this particular room that said, if you did lose to the Panthers, hell's coming.
I would not be shocked because there is a bye week. So they have 2 weeks.
Yeah, there was.
That would be you.
Yeah, we kind of talked about it, man, and it wasn't something that people talked about. Wasn't really anything I heard. I just kind of saw the tea leaves, man.
Been in a couple locker rooms yourself.
It is pretty much widely known. Like the Panthers are the worst team in the league.
Yep.
They just had another quarterback switch off of the one that they just got off of weeks ago, right? And so this will be a second start back. He hasn't really won much. They haven't been very good. They got some dudes still out. It don't look good for them. If you go and play that team and you lose to that team after you've already lost 6 straight with the bye week coming right after, so that means the new guy's going to have 2 weeks to kind of put his stuff in and kind of do it, which is better than 3, 4, 5 days, whatever 1 week usually is. It would make a lot of sense. I'm not sure if he wins this game, he's safe for the rest of the regular season, but this exact one, you lose this one, it would make a ton of sense. And then for you to lose it the way you did with the numbers you put up, yes, it was time.
It was time.
It was time.
And it was the right move. And
the only reason I would say, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm shocked that they would make. I didn't think you were wrong. I'm shocked that the Saints made a move.
That's why I said maybe he was safe for the rest of the season, but for whatever reason, I just felt like this is the one. Like, and maybe look, if they were playing, I don't know, maybe the Green Bay, if they were playing somebody that's really good, if they were playing Baltimore right now, maybe not. But when you were playing Carolina,
favored by 7 points in the NFL,
favored by 7 points, that's a lot.
Away,
bad team. All of that together, I was like, this is how it gets brewed up right here.
Disaster. And by all accounts and by all of the interviews and all of the quotes from the media that's real close to the New Orleans Saints is that the players in the locker room have started to basically talk amongst themselves and amongst those close to the team that Dennis Allen has lost the team. Right, his message is falling on deaf ears. He hasn't really been able to get the guys back to where they needed to be, and that turned into Gail Benson, who's doing what good owners do. Right, Gail Benson is reported to having talked to a lot of the players within the locker room and asked them.
That's a wild concept too, by the way.
No
like
doubt.
how was that happening? Do you have to pass by Dennis Allen's office to get to where Gail Benson is?
Are they going to coffee?
Like,
let's go to coffee down the road.
How are these happening to where was Dennis Allen ever aware like, hey, why did Kamara just pass by here?
Was it called? Was it in person? Was it on the phone? Was it? You know what I mean?
How did these happen? That's a wild idea to think about.
I don't know, but she's
Reaper's here.
The owner of the team. The owner of the team is doing her due diligence, trying to figure out what's actually going on behind the scenes.
Don't give her too much credit.
Decision. Huh?
Don't
Gail
give her,
Benson?
Yeah.
You don't think she's been good?
No.
Gail
She's
Benson?
been living in Kentucky. That's why DA should have been nervous. If she's here, something's about to happen because she ain't around the building. Mickey Loomis runs this team.
I understand that, but Gail Benson does not live in Kentucky.
Yes, she does.
She lives in Georgia. She's in New Orleans a lot.
Not enough.
A lot. I'm telling you. I know. I do.
You dirty dog.
I do.
Mikey had lunch with her last week. So.
Not me personally, but I know. I know. But anyway, she's doing her thing. Obviously, she's being a businesswoman, but I don't think she's been a bad owner. I think she's been loyal to a fault, and I think that's an issue. Obviously, Mickey Loomis has been there from the beginning, and he has to figure out his own deal. But what they did right now is she went and figured out, okay, listen, this is what's going on. What's going on behind the scenes? I don't want to go based off of what I hear. I want to hear it from the mouths of the players. I hear from the mouths of the players by themselves, and they all said that, hey, his message is not working with us, and he's got to go. And obviously that game ended, and he was gone. See ya. So
if she talked to St. Saunders, if this is a college bowl game, that motherfucker would be called the Cottonelle Doo-Doo Bowl. We just lost the Cottonelle Doo-Doo Bowl.
Which is wild that they just were so vocal. Not just Michael Thomas is one, right? But all the other players, like active players, vocal like that, like that's crazy. That's wild to me. They must have not really liked him at all.
It must have gotten really bad as a head coach.
Yeah.
Some people change when they get
no doubt. Some people listen. I mean, when you start losing.
You don't stay around an organization that long and get elevated to the spot he got elevated and get the long leash like he got without you being respected and liked. Right. So at some point it must have really turned to where you wasn't the same DA that you used to get. Right. That's the only explanation I can give.
Only explanation I have for that, but he is no longer there. Obviously, he had really good things to say about New Orleans after the fact. We'll see where they go. He should, no doubt. 12 years he's been at New Orleans he was, I think 5 was his first time, and then left for a little bit, came back, and had a lot of time in New Orleans. So, shout out to DA. Good run. See ya.
He's the worst NFL head coach maybe of all time.
See ya. We appreciate you, but we'll let you go. We appreciate your defense, no doubt. Right? Not your head coaching tenure, but all the defensive stuff you did, you bringing actually some defense to New Orleans, that's a big thing. So we appreciate the loyalty to us, and we'll see ya. and go ahead and be a defensive coordinator somewhere else and go have a career doing that. But you're not going to be the head coach.
Is he going to be the next Steve Spagnuolo?
No doubt. For sure.
He is. Well, I would agree with you, but the defense gave up on him clearly because they used to be very good. Now they became the worst defense in the league.
Yeah. I mean, I won't say worst defense in the league, but
Statistically, they've been the worst defense in the league the last 3 weeks.
Okay, 3 weeks. I know, but not for the whole
It's
entirety of the
It's
year.
Lloyd. You know, Lloyd. He likes to
Not
bury,
for the
he likes
entirety
to
of
bury
the
the
year.
Saints, so this is
Yeah, of
working out
course.
perfect
When you're playing when your fifth string quarterback that hasn't played, yeah, the defense is not.
Oh,
going to be
because he
as
broke
good.
his femur.
I'm not saying
No,
that.
I'm just saying that's how the season's gone.
That's my point, though. Like, you can't. I mean,
No,
you're not
it's
going to
a
have
break.
7 Pro Bowl cornerbacks on your roster. You did have one come off the practice squad and make an unbelievable interception. But they'll be doing it for a new head coach, and we'll see where they go. It'll be hopefully they can win some games and make it fun, or not, and be a top 3 pick in the draft, and get a new head coach to let them draft his quarterback.
Yeah, you know, this is the popular theory.
Shador Sanders
And Dion.
to be a
Wow.
head coach? No.
That would
No.
be wild.
No. Dion can't. I would not mind it being Ben Johnson.
He's not coming to the Saints.
Why? He was in New Orleans
Yeah, I think he knows that he is probably the hottest name in
Yeah.
coaching.
for sure.
I'm not going to that organization.
Why not?
Because look at it.
Well, I mean, you could fix that. They've won. They're not like they've been the swallow dollars forever. You can go and do that. I mean, if you're gonna if you're going to another organization, they're probably in a bad spot.
Yeah.
Because you got rid of your
problem
coaches.
with a head coach like that is if as good as he is, as young as he is, you got to basically guarantee him the world and a long leash because tell the truth about it, bro, you are in salary cap hell. And you can only
Right.
kick that can for so long
No doubt.
before you finally say, hey,
You have to start moving
we gotta
guys
eat
around,
and start
do
moving
something.
it and start doing
Yeah.
something. So at that point, you're basically in rebuild mode.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to be a young head coach like that, I'm going to come to a situation like this, you can't be wiping me out after 3 years. Like, it just
Well,
can't happen like that.
I think part of it is they'll be able to bring him in, right, and he'll be able to get his quarterback. If depending on where the draft spot's going to be.
Well,
He'll
we
be able
know
to have
all of that. My point is if we're going to wipe it out, we're probably still not going to have a good team unless we absolutely hit
You're not gonna-
on all of these drafts.
No doubt.
No, I'm not talking about 1 year. That's what I'm saying. Like 3-4 years down the line, it probably still might not be that good yet. That's a very
no
good
doubt.
chance.
I mean, but you can go out. You can build different. I mean, you saw what the Texans did 2 years ago.
2 years ago, who was there 2 years ago? A completely different coach.
That's my point. They did it in 1 year, really. They got C.J. Stroud, and they've got guys in free agency, and they built their team.
How did they do it? Who did they trade?
Just
Deshaun.
Oh, yeah,
for
yeah,
an
no
absolute.
doubt.
My point is where's that deal? Who else is getting
No,
that
I
deal?
understand that. They hit on their draft picks. I get
because
that.
they had so many high ones. So my point is
that
like,
too.
who do we have that can be given up a king's ransom for like that? Right
You're
now?
not going to have anybody give them that, but you're going to get you can get
Nobody
first,
on
you,
the
You can
team.
get Lattimore to get you probably a higher pick, not probably a first rounder. They ski mask the Texans. I mean, the Texans ski mask the Browns, obviously. So nobody's going to get that again for anybody.
That's my.
honestly.
So now my point is like
I
it's got to be
understand
for a
that.
couple
It's not
years.
going to be
Yeah,
easy.
yeah.
Like they're not going. Anybody that's firing a roster head coach, you're not going to have a turnkey. Hey, you're going to be real good right away. There's going to have to be some leash for anybody that they get, because they are in salary cap.
Well,
hell.
we know that, but my point is everybody gets the 2 to 3 year leash. I think they probably need more guarantee if I'm going to come and take that as the most sought after head coach right now.
maybe.
That's what I'm saying.
Maybe,
There's,
but I mean, there's
he could be the head coach of the anywhere, really. I mean, if
Well, I
you
mean,
talk
that's
about,
my point, but
the
any
Saints are
coach-
probably the worst job in the
It's not
NFL.
the worst, but it's not. There's going to be jobs. There's going to be
the Raiders are the worst. Like there's
It's
a lot
not.
of other jobs.
It's
that are
not.
the worst.
Here's the thing: because of where the money part
Giants.
of it is, more so than just where the roster is right now. Like you look at it and you're like, man, how are we gonna make this team better? So you want me to come to what is not a great team, what is an older team that don't have any money, that don't have any picks, and you want to basically give me the same deal that anybody else would give me? Not gonna work
They
that
have
way.
their allotment of like normal first round, normal draft picks next year. They didn't get rid of any this past year to lose one for this coming year, right? So they just had the normal 7 picks or
I
whatever.
believe, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I know it's nothing like over the top.
Yeah,
or-
they have their
see.
first round pick.
yeah.
They're gonna have to go hire someone. So I mean,
But
if
what's
they
your
can get him here, great. If they can get him here, great.
I love the Ben Johnson
idea?
I just think
I would say no.
you got to give a king's
if
ransom
he
for
says yes,
somebody
though,
like
if he
that.
says
Yeah.
yes, then that's a good. I mean, I think it's a good move. I mean, who else you bring in? You go bring in Bill Belichick. You don't want that, right? Like, do people want Bill Belichick for 2 years?
No.
You want him to get the whole thing? He's not coming in because he's not going to get the GM job. They're not giving it to me. They're not taking it from Mickey Loomis.
That would
he's
be
not going to be able to come in and get that.
My greater point as to why Ben Johnson doesn't want this job is because of how it's systemically run from the top down. Like, you don't want to come into a situation where Mickey Loomis is going to he has to be shocked. He's the one that was up there defending this man, Dennis Allen, the entire time. He's like, oh, wait, you're going to fire him? Like, yeah, buddy. And you might be next, but they won't fire him either because he's de facto the owner of the team. And so if I'm Ben Johnson, I'm looking at that going, I don't want to work with him because I don't know what he's going to do. He's a crazy person.
No, I understand that. And I mean, kind of, look, he has done a lot of things wrong as a GM. But as a GM / owner / whoever, like, most of these guys aren't going to come out. The ones that come out and say, you're fired, those teams don't win. The Jets don't win. The Giants haven't won since they got rid of him, right? They got rid of Coughlin. The Browns don't win. The Commanders don't win. Like, all these teams that have fired all these guys because of all of that, they don't win. And you got teams that, there's other teams that don't win either, but they are known to be better organizations in a sense, right?
The Saints thought they were the
Cowboys,
Steelers.
right? Like, the Cowboys are going to go out there. They don't
win.
He doesn't. No, but they win regular season games. They're a better organization than the Browns.
I'll be honest with you. I think you got to
You know
go
what I mean?
and get. You have to go and get somebody who has head coaching. Think of it this way. This might sound crazy, and it didn't sound like the sexy move, but who's had some success but has moved on from spots. The Dan Quinn type of guys.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you need.
Yeah, see, that's I know.
You hate it, but it's the truth.
Well, he's doing well right now, huh? I'm sorry.
Hey,
He's
like
doing well
you
right
hate
now.
it, but it's the truth. Like you need. I'm telling you, for what is gonna take to
This is
sign
the hire
a Ben
before the
Johnson?
hire.
Yeah, but what is gonna take to get a Ben Johnson? Like, why would you come to that situation? There's no money there. Like, there's so much wrong with it. You need somebody who had the success somewhere, who's been obviously a good coordinator, who can come and figure it out again over here, and that's what you need.
Yeah, we'll see.
It's not the sexiest one. I just for the situation that the Saints are in right now, I just can't see the sexiest, youngest hire saying that's the spot. If your offer for me is literally as relative that the rest of these guys are getting, that I'm getting from these other spots, wouldn't make any sense.
I mean, I don't know. If they figure out how to clear up some of the salary cap, or they figure out how to get rid of some guys, and they make it and say, "Hey, listen,
Coach,
you go
they're
get what you want to
$90
do."
million under.
I understand they're
Over.
always that
Over.
They're-
Yeah.
they're- I understand
like that's
that.
not get rid of. Like you're.
I understand that. Trade people, get some, do whatever you got to do, but they do it every year. Every year they get underneath the cap. So
I'm not saying they're not going to get underneath the cap. So my
I'm
point.
just,
Okay.
all
my
I'm
point
saying
is
they
you,
can do something to make it a little bit more enticing. I'm not saying
okay,
it'd be the
but time
perfect
out, time
job.
out. We need to hear about this again.
I understand
They're
what you're
obviously
saying.
going to find a way to get under the cap. That's not even a question.
understand
about
what
it.
you're saying.
My point
Cap's not
is
real.
with the age
not
of
real.
the guys that are on the roster right now, their ability to not be traded. Like who you trading? You're not going to trade Cam. You're not trading DeMario. You're not trading Tyron.
DeMario Day is probably retired.
My point is you,
That would
these
be your
guys
best
you're-
bet. They all retire.
The guys
doubt.
you're paying the money to, you ain't trading because they're older now.
Right.
Right? So who do you trade? You got Marshawn. Pretty much, that's it. So how much can you get for him? You're not getting the King's ransom for him. So when you get under the cap, how far under can you get?
I understand.
Not that far.
I understand.
Then where do you go?
I understand what you're saying. Last year, I think they got 40 million or 30 million under the cap to go sign free agents. I'm not saying they're going to do that or they're not going to do that, but just by not having it for 1 year, they say, hey, this is going to be our. If they say, hey, this is our plan for the next 2 or 3 years, this is how we're going to get you the opportunity every year to get more cap space to go and build your team. It could be. I'm not saying he's going to come or it's going to be enticing, but there are ways for them to figure out how to make it work to go bring, because they're going to have to do that for any coach they bring in. Nobody's going to go to a lose-lose situation if they don't have the opportunity to go build a team that they want to build.
Coach, I'll argue back again. I'll say Dan Quinn, if Dan Quinn wants to be a head coach, who else was giving him a shot? He wasn't going to go get the top jobs that was out there, so he had to take a Washington. You feel what I'm saying? Like, that's the situation. The most hot name on the market is not going to take this job unless you give him a contract that is head and heels above the other.
Yeah, I'm not
opportunities
saying
that
you're
he's
wrong.
getting.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but you got to go after him. You
And-
got to go
I'm
ask.
not saying they're not.
You got to
I'm
go
just
talk
saying
to him.
we're just talking about if it's. I would imagine they're going to go after him. Yes.
And you already tried to do the Dan Quinn hire with Dennis Allen. It's literally the
I
same
know,
situation.
I know.
Like, former failed head coach is
Well,
great
we can't say he
defensive
was failed.
coordinator.
Heck, I mean, he was in a Super Bowl,
No, well, he got fired.
but he was in a Super Bowl
Yeah.
as a head coach.
But I'm
Has
talking about
Dennis
Dennis
Allen ever
Allen.
been there?
No, but I'm saying, okay, even worse example than is Dennis Allen of never really succeeded ever, but phenomenal coordinator.
I agree
yeah.
with that. Both of them are phenomenal coordinators. One, that's why I said he's been a successful head coach, whether you got fired or not. I mean, they all damn near get fired at some point. But he's been a successful head coach.
I'm going to say one name.
I hope there's more than one name on their list.
Yes, no, maybe indifferent, maybe fuck no. Joe Brady.
They're not gonna get. They're not gonna give it to him.
Worked there before.
He has worked there before. I thought about that earlier. I just didn't know if they're gonna give him. But he probably is ready for a head coaching job.
Want to know?
He
Tweets
is.
after every one.
He probably is ready to get a job.
I haven't said a damn thing yet because that's a very enticing one. Like, I think that's one that is either a huge hit or a huge miss.
He's got nothing to lose.
That's an enticing one.
But as a organization, that's hard to go after somebody. I guess it'd be the same thing as Ben Johnson. He's just been doing it for a little bit longer than Joe Brady is doing it, and did it. My argument, I'm not saying they're going to pick one or the other, right? Like, it's very similar, but Johnson saw a team go from not good to continue to get better and saw them grow a team that wasn't good, right? Joe Brady went there, got the offensive coordinator job on a team that was a winning team. Fine. That's not his fault. That was just the situation he was
with a top 2 or 3 quarterback.
Yeah, with one of the top quarterbacks in the league, right? Which is Detroit had a quarterback that wasn't supposed to be, he got rid of because he wasn't supposed to be good enough. And he built him into a Pro Bowl type quarterback, and he built him into a potentially Super Bowl winning quarterback. He's got some of the best numbers in the league right now.
No. I know his numbers right now are crazy, but we can't say he wasn't good enough. But when we say he wasn't good enough to what?
To win a Super Bowl.
Which he got to what?
Yeah, Super Bowl.
Yeah, right.
That's my point. Like, all right,
right.
He's good enough for 18 games, just not the 19.
No, right.
Yeah,
right.
but
they didn't like him. They wanted to get rid of him, so
Right.
they traded him for Stafford, and then they brought a guy who
won a
was
Super Bowl.
supposed to be who did win a Super Bowl. Right. It worked out for them. Right, and it may work out for Jared Goff too in Detroit. They may end up right. They may end up making Super Bowl, winning Super Bowl at some point while he's there, and it may work out. But my point is, Ben Johnson has done that and saw that progression. Joe Brady has not. I love Joe Brady. I would love him to come. But do we want him to come in there to come to New Orleans? Jesus Christ, dude.
You're terrible.
I mean, you are unbelievable.
I'm surprised it was just me.
You're unbelievable, dude.
The amount of excitement on your face
I know.
is incredible.
I would love for Joe Brady to come to New Orleans, right, and be but I just don't know how you're putting him in a situation. Hey, you're going to have to go and you have to rally a team who's going to have a lot of older guys. And you're going to have to try to mix in some young guys and bring in your own culture. That's a tough thing for someone to do who's never been.
Ben Johnson got to do the same thing.
No, I understand. But he's seen a culture being built from no culture and creating it and having that on him. That was my point. Is like you saw what it's like to go to a bad team with no culture and create culture and grow it. Right? You saw it from the outside in.
I think here's where I'll go off of Joe Brady in this situation. I think Joe has also seen – I
love him.
I think he's got a little bit of an affinity for New Orleans anyway. Like, I think he does love what this place could be because he's seen it at its best. But I also do think he got burned a little bit in the Carolina situation where it obviously wasn't a head coaching spot, but he went to a bad organization at a bad time.
Exactly.
And it put him back on his career a little bit. So I do think he's in a spot right now with a top 2 to 3 type quarterback where he's going to probably stay there until he sees what he feels is the spot to make it happen. I'm not sure that's what New Orleans is.
My question before we move on to go and start talking about LSU. Do you think that – because they're obviously not going to hire a coach until the season's over, okay? Do you think that where they end the season and what draft pick they have makes a difference on who they get as a head coach?
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, it does. Whoever it is.
If they're a top 5 pick and you know that you're going to get your quarterback of the future – You're gonna go out,
or if you have the pieces to get into that top 5 spot, meaning like you have the.
Yeah, but that's the other thing is I don't know if they have the pieces to trade into the top.
No, they
5.
don't right now. I'm saying like if they end up moving people, that's going to give them the weaponry to be able to say, hey, we'll give you these picks to get to that spot.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is they're going to win on Sunday.
Because you got to think about it. Like all it takes is, hey, if I get one more second rounder,
when are they play?
They're off.
They're off this week. If I get one more second rounder, and let's say
that's why I got fired.
Yeah, they're off. If I have one more second rounder, and let's say you end the season at the number 10 spot, and now I can give you our next 2 firsts and a second.
Yeah.
Somebody would like
for sure.
So like if you need to be able to have something like that.
For sure. It would like
that kind of package.
It would be nice to go down to like the second pick to be have the second worst team in the league, have the number 2 overall pick. Somebody comes up and says, No, that's not gonna. It wouldn't work out that way. I was gonna say someone comes up and trades, but you don't go back that far, and you're still able to get the quarterback that you want and get some trade capital. But that probably not gonna work. We'll see what happens. They got a long way to go. They got half the season left to play with an interim head coach. Maybe Darren Rizzi's the guy. I think you got to go outside of the organization. You bring some new blood in here. But maybe they go ahead and they win 7 straight games.
There's
with Darren Rizzi as the
a
head
crazy
coach.
statistic, and obviously Antonio Pierce is only adding into it this year about interim guys getting the head coaching job and how much of a failure it ends up being going forward. So
They do play on Sunday. They play 11-10.
I thought they were off this week.
who they play?
Falcons.
Okay, never mind. You're right.
I could have sworn they were off this week too.
Still fired him.
They did fire him. It worked out.
Halfway, right? Ain't no such thing.
We'll see what happens. We got a long way to go. But